We're back with some more real life drama. These are not Reddit stories. These are in fact your stories that you guys submitted to me. If you guys want to get your story in, the form is officially still open. It's linked in the video description of every single video. Right there. Can't miss it. The first story wants to be left anonymous. 25 years ago, I broke my nose. I was a young 19-year-old who lived on my own. I had a boyfriend back then. Let's call him Eric for this story. It was a Friday afternoon and I was in such a party mood. Unfortunately, there were no parties scheduled and Eric and I were just hanging out in my apartment when he got a call from a guy from his class saying that he would throw a party that evening. I got excited and I went to change my clothes while Eric was lying on his back on the couch. I took off my shirt and decided to jump down onto him to kiss him. Unfortunately for me, he decided to sit up at the exact same time that I jumped on him. Our heads smashed together and a loud crack sounded. He immediately gasped the word no and placed his hands in front of his face. Guys, are you reading the story of how I broke my nose? This is quite literally what happened when I broke my nose. This is so bizarre. I'm gonna tell you guys quick after I finish reading. I first thought that it was his head that had made some crack sound because I didn't feel anything. Then the pain set in and blood started dripping out of my nose. It was my nose that had made the loud crack. I checked my face in the mirror, but there wasn't much damage to see. My nose looked normal, except for a tiny lump on the left side, further up the bridge of the nose. I put on clothes and we walked to my parents that lived close by and asked my father to drive me to the emergency room. A doctor looked at me and said my nose didn't look broken. I told him about the loud crack and he called in another doctor to take a look. The second doctor also said my nose didn't look broken, and once again I had to explain the loud crack and the tiny lump that wasn't there before. They agreed it had to be broken with the crack that I explained, and they could see it was somewhat swollen. They said they couldn't perform surgery when I was swollen and I would have to come back Monday morning at 9 a.m. I was not allowed to drink, eat, or smoke from midnight on. Those were the terms back in the day. So I made the party Friday night. That's a wild choice after breaking your nose. And went on with my weekend and showed up at the hospital Monday morning. I was met by a third doctor that said my nose did not look broken. Once again, I had to explain, yada yada. He then asked how it had happened, and when he heard I had headbutted Eric, he wanted to make sure Eric wasn't there. Of course he was there. Why wouldn't he be? After clearing up with the doctor that it was an accident caused by me jumping on Eric, the doctor told me that what they see most Monday mornings are women coming in with broken noses or other injuries, caused by an abusive partner that came home drunk during the weekend and took out his anger on her. Well, that's devastating. This turned out to be true when I ended up sharing a room with a woman in her 30s who also had a broken nose, and in her case, it was her partner who did it. She started yelling at me when she heard my boyfriend was there because she had already made up her mind that she and I were in the same boat. Anyways, I got my surgery, but not until 1:30 p.m. I couldn't handle not smoking all those hours. I couldn't even handle not eating for that long, but how I longed for just a tiny sip of water in all those hours. That was not fun, not being able to ingest anything. After the surgery, I was informed that my nose was indeed broken. I had gotten lucky that it had broken inwards instead of sideways, which was why nothing really showed on my face, except for a tiny lump that went away with the surgery. Still not an experience I would ever want to try again, but it's a story I got to tell. That's so wild because literally very similar to what happened to me. I will tell you very fast. I was with my ex-boyfriend at the time, way back in the day when I was in university. We lived together. I was already in bed, like tucked in for the night, but how our room was laid out, the light was across the room on the wall, like the light switch. So I was in bed, all cozy, ready for sleepies. And he went to turn off the light and get back into bed. So he sat down and he was going to lean back to go to bed. And for some reason, I sat up to go and do something. So he was leaning back, I was sitting up, and we literally went and all I heard was crack because it was pitch dark and I felt it in my nose. We heard the crack and I immediately grabbed my face and he ran and turned on the light and I was just fear, so much fear that my nose was going to be crooked, right? Because then you usually need surgery. They have to set it back into place. I will faint. I was so scared. I remember like the pain and walking to the bathroom to look in the mirror, and thank God my nose was not off to the side or anything. Anyways, went to the hospital, got an ultrasound, all that. It was broken. It was actually broken on this side, and it was like, they said it was one of the cleanest breaks they've ever seen. It was more of a fracture, but it was right up here, and it was like a clean, right in the ultrasound, it was like a clean break right here on that side of my nose. So it didn't have to be reset, but I did have like almost like a little nose brace situation because I was in dance and stuff like that. Wasn't much they could do, but anyway, very similar. Crazy. And they did have that question when I was like, oh, well, my boyfriend technically broke my nose. Yeah, his head. Pure accident. The next story is coming in from Mimi. What a fun name. I pushed Mimi. What do you mean? I pushed my friend down the stairs and now she wants compensation. Girl.
What do you mean?
Hi guys, English is not my first language, so please bear with me. I am a female 23 and my friend, fake name Sarah, is 26. We got into a huge argument last week. My friend group is split about us and who is right and wrong. Sarah and I met 6 years ago while I was working in a caffeine shop and we clicked instantly, so we became friends and everything was good and fine until she got engaged in December. She shared it in the group chat and we were all very excited for her, and she wanted to celebrate her bachelorette party out of state for 4 days. I made it clear that I could not attend as I have my 7-year-old son to take care of, but I sent her $1,000 to support her event. She was happy, she sounded understanding to me until she came back from the trip. She would randomly throw rude comments at my son to me, like, quote, "What a shame you couldn't go to my bachelorette party because of him." Quote, "You know, a lot of my friends are interested in you, but not your baby." Or, "It would be so much better if you didn't have that boy in your life," and so on. I cannot imagine saying that to any of my friends about their children. Their children are like my children. I also made it clear to her that I love my son, he is my life, and he comes before anyone or anything. She would apologize and say that she was just joking. Last Thursday, we were out drinking, chatting, just having fun. She was showing me some orphanage and she brought up that I should give up my son for adoption and said that she knows some good families who are willing to take care of him. I saw red and I told her to shut up, but she just kept going on about how I will suffer forever if he is with me, how I can't move on from my past, and how I don't really love him, but I only love the idea of having a child. I slapped her hard across the face and we got into a pull and push fight that ended up with her falling down the stairs and breaking her ankle. Now she wants me to apologize and compensate her for her hospital bill, and I said hell no, she should apologize to me for the hurtful things she said. Some of my friends said that I should not pay the bill, but apologize to keep the peace, but I refuse. So, am I the a-hole for not paying her medical bill? I forgot to add that I was SA'd when I was 15 by my boss's son. My family supported the guy's family because they were rich and they wanted me to marry the guy. That's why I left home when I was 15, but that is why she keeps making those comments about my baby. I can't believe that people actually go through stuff like this with their friends. Friends! Where are y'all finding these friends? I feel like I'm not qualified to give an answer for this. Do you feel this friendship is repairable? Do you feel that this girl should even be in your life? Like, do you want someone in your life who's going to constantly make those comments about your literal child? Is this a legal case? Is this a legal issue? I think maybe an apology is not a bad thing since she definitely broke her ankle. The medical bill, like I said, I got questions. Is this a legal thing? Do you have to pay the medical bill? Is she gonna press charges against you? What's happening? Wait, I'm not qualified. No, because she was wrong for her comments. You're also wrong for putting your hands on her. Who's the real winner here? You know, we're all just losers here. Isn't that a quote from Friends?
I think we're all losers here.
Next story is coming in from Jamie. This is one of my stories about the messed up stuff that my mother-in-law has done. A little background. In March 2016, I found out I was pregnant with my first baby. When I went to my 20-week ultrasound, they said that we're having a boy. Also, that he had not one, but 2 heart conditions. After going to many doctors, they told us that he would need to have 3 separate open heart surgeries to fix his heart. That breaks my heart for you. I can't even imagine. He was born on October 17th, 2016. He had his first surgery at 2 days old, his second one at 6 months old, and what was supposed to be his third and last surgery at 2.5 years old in August of 2019. Side note, I was about 6.5 months pregnant with my daughter when this started. About 3 days later, we were told that his mitral valve had opened and they would have to go back in to fix it. To try to make this shorter, his valve opened up 2 other times. He had 3 open heart surgeries in 2.5 weeks, and 2 more after that. Altogether, he had 4 open heart surgeries in 6 months. He also had a pacemaker put in. He was doing good, so they discharged him, and we were home for about 7 months. Then all of a sudden, he wasn't acting right, and his lips started to change color. So we brought him to our local hospital and got transferred back to the children's hospital that had done his other surgeries. After about an hour of being there, they put a breathing tube in because he was having a hard time breathing on his own. Guys, I'm really hoping for a happy ending here, please. I can already feel emotions building. Please tell me there's a happy ending to this story. Anxiety setting in. Around 4 hours after that, we were told he would need to be brought in for emergency surgery because the thing they used to replace his valve had stopped working and only a little amount of blood was going through it. The doctor said if we would have waited any longer, he would not make it. After his 9th open heart surgery since birth, he needed to have a heart transplant. I don't understand how anyone goes through this. November of 2020, he got evaluated for the transplant and got cleared to be put on a list. August 13th, 2021, he had his heart transplant. On September 14th, he was discharged. We had to stay local because the children's hospital was in a different state than where we lived. While all of this was going on, the house we lived in wasn't safe for him to go back to when we were able to go home because there was a lot of mold in it. My mother-in-law, being the attention seeker that she is, she put what he was going through in the newspaper and the news and started a GoFundMe to try and raise money to fix our house. The GoFundMe raised about $12,000. While my son and I were in Boston, she had bought a brand new truck. With the GoFundMe money, paid some of our bills and some other stuff that I don't really remember. Right before we were able to go home, my husband tried asking his mom how much was in the bank account so we could start getting the stuff that we needed to fix the house. She kept acting weird about it and wouldn't give him a straight answer. He finally got frustrated with her for not telling him, so he called the bank to try to figure out how much was in it, and they told him they couldn't give him that information because his name wasn't on the account like she made him to believe it was. After a few days of back and forth with his mom, she finally gave the card to him so he could go check himself. When he did, there was only $100 left out of the $12,000. Her excuse was that she was helping us pay our rent and bills, which we never asked her to do. She just did it. So when my son and I were able to go home, we had to move into a trailer because we weren't bringing our son into that house that has mold. The house ended up not getting fixed and we had to move into a house we really didn't want to. The other house we had was supposed to be our forever home, and the fact that we had to give it up pisses me off to this day 5 years later. Ever since that, we have gone low contact. I think she used some of the money on a down payment for her truck. To end this on a good note though, this August 13th will be my son's 5th year post-transplant and he's doing amazing. Oh, stop, see, I'm gonna cry. And we'll be turning 10 this year. Oh my gosh, see, look at my eyes get all watery. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. Thank goodness, because girl, you had my heart breaking thinking this was gonna be some kind of other awful ending. Well, that just brought so much joy to my heart for him and for you. That's crazy, the GoFundMe thing. Think about all the people that donated because they wanted to help you to fix your house, and instead, little do they know, they just bought your mom a new truck or helped get her the new truck. Furious, livid, disgusting behavior. Next story wants to be left anonymous. Am I the a-hole for quitting my job and causing a divorce? I, 32 female, work for my dad, who's 60. I work managing the office of the business that my dad owns. I quit a well-paying job for this, and I now earn close to minimum wage. Growing up, I was always close to my dad, and I thought he was the best man in the world. One morning, I arrived at work to find the doors all unlocked and the lights on. However, no one was in the building. There were things knocked over and a drink had spilled on the floor. I was worried something had happened to my dad, so I logged on to the CCTV cameras to check, and I saw him bring in a woman that is not my mom. They were having sex in front of the cameras, obviously drunk. Like, you do not get paid enough for that. Imagine having to see that working minimum wage. I left work and called my mom on the way home to tell her what I had seen. I spoke with my dad and I told him I thought his behavior was repulsive and I didn't know if I could go back to work looking at the space where that happened every day. He assured me that it would never happen again and he was disgusted by his own actions. I decided to forgive him and I went back to work. I told him if that ever happened again, I was quitting on the spot and I would cut contact with him. Fast forward 6 months and I go to work in the morning to find my dad asleep in his chair. I wondered if maybe he had been kicked out as he and my mom had been having troubles and they were on the brink of divorce. I checked the cameras again, wondering what time he arrived and if he had slept there all night. When the cameras loaded, I saw him bringing a woman in the back entrance of the building. She stays for 30 minutes and leaves the same way. He then stumbles to his desk and falls asleep. I knew this woman though. She is a well-known substance user and sex worker in the local area. I immediately threw my keys down and woke up my dad to tell him I was leaving and he was on his own. I again called my mom on my way home to tell her what I had seen. That was 1 month ago now and I still have not spoken to him. My mom comes by to see me time to time and she has told me that they're definitely getting divorced now. Meanwhile, I've gotten myself a higher paying job that works better for me and my family. So, am I the a-hole for breaking apart my parents' marriage? You did not break apart your parents' marriage. Excuse me. We're gonna take that statement back. I don't even know what you're asking here. You did not ruin anyone's marriage. The only person who broke apart your parents' marriage is your parent named Dad, okay? That's who split apart his marriage. My God, you just got sucked into witnessing that with your own eyes. And put in the most uncomfortable position that no child should ever be put in. And you felt your mom deserved to know. So, that's difficult. I feel for you. That's a really tricky position to be in with your parents. Next story is also anonymous. Just wanting some advice. Okay, we will give you some advice. First, a little backstory. I had a friend ghost me when I moved an hour away from where she lives. She stood me up from my housewarming party, but after I contacted her, she said that it had just slipped her mind and that she would come the following weekend to catch up. I organized lunch for her and her husband, and they never arrived. No phone call or message ever came in. I never contacted her myself as I felt slighted, and I'm not good at confrontation or standing up for myself. About a year later, she ran into my husband and feigned ignorance as to why we hadn't spoken in so long. To which he told her what had happened with her standing me up 2 weekends in a row and how it hurt me. But still, she chose not to reach out. I am in her city regularly. I have to do my grocery shopping there as it's closest. I have family living there and my husband also still works there. It's not like I moved an hour away and disappeared. Everything is essentially the same. I just have a longer commute. We came across each other at the market about 6 months back and I was not friendly. I ignored her greeting and I just kept walking. I'm not proud of it, but it's been 10 years now. Honestly, I didn't even know how to respond. I wasn't sure that she was talking to me. I've mostly come to terms with her actions, but it still upsets me to think of our history and the friendship that was lost. I was her bridesmaid in her wedding. I live in the middle of nowhere. I am extremely isolated, and there is no real ability to make friends with locals because of how far away everyone is from each other. It also doesn't help that I am neurodivergent, and I've always struggled with some social aspects. I don't have many friends, so what has happened with my friends has hit hard, and I wonder if because of that, I struggle to fully move on. Anyway, she then ran into my daughter a few days after that and feigned ignorance once again, asking her what she had done and why I had ignored her. My daughter couldn't answer as she is just as non-confrontational as I am and just smiled and gave a polite answer in the conversation. Now to the dilemma I have. I recently found out that she has cancer and it's bad. I am devastated for her and her family, and I'm wondering if I should reach out to support or send well wishes. Is it too late? How would I even go about doing that? Am I silly for even thinking about it? Much love to Miss Lila. Please give extra scratches today. I will.
Boo boo, I was told and asked to give you some extra scratches today. Isn't that so nice? Isn't that so nice? It doesn't look like you're very appreciative. It doesn't look like you're very appreciative. Excuse me. Where's my gratitude? Oh, the stretch. Am I bothering you? Okay, there we go. There's some love. Okay. She says, thank you so much. Oh. Oh, you're crazy. Oh, see ya.
This is definitely a sensitive, difficult subject because you care about her, you love her, and now you find out she has an awful illness. I understand wanting to reach out in a time like that and to send your love and to send your well wishes, especially because you never had this big falling out. It was kind of like you ghosted me, but she's walking around asking everyone like, oh, why haven't we spoken? And then you're saying, well, you ghost. Like, there wasn't this huge, awful fallout between the two of you. I understand. I think you'll know best in your heart. I think you might regret not reaching out. It's tricky because I also want to know why she ghosted you and just never said anything. But now's not the time to ask if you're going to reach out about that. Maybe it's an olive branch. I'm trying to work all this out in my head. Maybe it's an olive branch. I think in your heart, you want to send well wishes because you don't wish that upon her. She didn't do something horrible to you. Am I making any sense? I feel like I've given 500 different pieces of advice or none at all at the same time. Let me know, you guys. Let's all chat about this in the comments of what you think, because hopefully you'll read the comments and some of this will help you with your decision. We've got more drama, but it's hydration station time, okay? Let me know what's in your cup. I don't judge, but I will tell you to take a sip of water today. We need it. Cheers. Next story wants to be anonymous. I could have become the other woman without knowing it, but I actually dodged a bullet. I, then 62 female, met a man, then 64 male, who I volunteered with, and I will call Kevin the male version of Karen. At first we were just friends, but when I was diagnosed with cancer, he was very supportive and we became very close. Okay, but that breaks my heart, and I love you, and I hope you're okay. And after I beat the cancer, happy to hear that, we continued getting closer. I developed feelings for him, and he seemed to be developing feelings for me, but he said he was afraid of relationships because of an abusive past. He had been good looking in his day, and women had used him for sex and then broke up with him. But his body language said that he was interested, so I figured I could wait until he was ready. This went on for over a year. Then an old injury forced him to quit volunteering, and I thought I would never see him again. But after a month, he started coming around with a woman who I will call Sharon, that he introduced as a neighbor and friend. No biggie. He can have anyone for a friend that he wants to. Even more so since we weren't actually together. But a month later, they became engaged. This confused me. Since there were people there every time he came around, so I couldn't talk to him, I wrote a letter. I told him that he didn't have to reply if he didn't feel comfortable doing so. Then I went on to explain why I was confused about why he said he was afraid of relationships, but then he was in a relationship with this woman. I said that if he was in a relationship, he could have just told me and I would have known that he was hands off. I did say that his fiance seemed very nice, and I am no threat to their relationship. I am not a man stealer, but I needed to know why he didn't tell me about her. He never answered my questions. That was fine because I told him he didn't have to if he wasn't comfortable. He continued coming around with her and displaying PDA in front of me, which really stung. Then one day he came by and she had kicked him out with no notice. He really played the victim. He said he had been sleeping on the street because he had nowhere else to go. It tugged at all of our heartstrings and someone with a spare room took him in. A couple of months later, I got a message from Sharon. She had found the letter that I wrote to Kevin and wanted to warn me. He was not the man he pretended to be. I will leave out private details of her story because it isn't mine to tell. But Kevin had been abusive to her the moment they got engaged and moved in together. He even hurt their pets while she was at work. She said that he lied to her about me, claiming that I was a lunatic who was obsessed with him. He told her that he introduced her as a friend because he didn't want to trigger me into doing something crazy. But she thought that it was suspicious that he always wanted to go there when I was working and then would kiss her while I was watching. So she started asking questions about things like this that didn't make any sense, and then said he just disappeared while she was at work one day. Then she found my letter. She knew that he was lying about me being an obsessed lunatic and contacted me to warn me about his abuse. She also said that since the breakup, she has met several women who he pretended to also be interested in. I believed her because there were too many red flags with him, but I wonder if the reason he came by the place where he knew I volunteered was because he was considering me for his next victim, so he wanted me to be aware of the breakup. Yeah, maybe he's hoping you guys can rekindle things because now he needs someone else. Sharon and I are now friends, and she's been healing very well without him in her life. But a couple days ago, he left a personal item on the hood of her car. She knew it was him because of what the item was. It's too personal to share here. She and I both know abusers sometimes do things to let victims know that they are still around. So yeah, I dodged a bullet. I'd say, and you gained a friendship with Sharon. I really want to know what that is. Personal item, as in like he took a dump on her car? Why does my mind go to like a piece of poop on the car? Is that what you guys were thinking? Next story, it says a name, but it also said anonymous. So I'm just gonna keep it anonymous, just in case you didn't want me to read your name, but you'll know. Fake names are used for the story. I, Samantha, 45 female, have been married to my husband, Adam, 46 male, since we were 19 and 20. We had fertility issues resulting in filing for divorce. A drunken rekindling happened, but I was also having friends with benefits with someone else. I found out I was pregnant. My husband asked if it was his when I told him. I told him it depended on the conception date because there was a 10-day gap. He responded that he didn't care if he was the bio father because he wanted to be the daddy and wanted to be with me. The other guy asked the same and said that he could not be the father even if he was biologically because of his relationship with my husband. They are not related, just childhood friends. Okay, this is sticky. No pun intended. The doctor put my conception date halfway between the two dates and stated there was a 5-day window. So I explained that to my husband. He did not know who the person was or any details. He has raised our son as his for 18 years. I truly believe that he belongs to my husband. Now for the issue. My son recently found out that a cousin has half siblings because their dad had an affair. He said he would want to know if he had siblings. He also has said that he would like to do a DNA test about 6 months ago because he wants to know his genetic heritage. I know the other man now has 2 children and they look nothing like my son, but I worry if he does have DNA, he might come back. Not my husband's, and his younger sibling is his half sibling. Should I tell him, and if so, how? I worry about hurting him because he has depression anyway. I also worry if he isn't biologically my husband, he would want to know who the man is, which would hurt my husband. 99% sure it would cause a divorce, hurt the other person and their family as well. Oh gosh. He was single at the time, but a wife would be mad not knowing there's a possible kid out there that belongs to their husband of 10 plus years. Yes, I know I should have found a different friend of benefits, but I was told I would never get pregnant and I used protection with both men. I love watching you and would love advice from your followers. Thank you. Yes, I would love for you to get advice from my followers because I don't know what to say, girl. Yes, I also agree. Our friends with benefits could have been a different choice, for sure. Childhood friend with your previous partner at the time, probably not the best choice. Here we are. There's no point in dwelling on that in this moment. We got a bigger problem on our hands. I feel like ultimately, I'm not a parent. This is just an opinion. Ultimately, your child deserves to know who his real dad is. I think he'll eventually find out. If he's an adult, he'll just go and get, maybe some tests done or have his, your husband, his father, get the test done with him. I don't know. I feel like that's going to come out eventually. And I think it should. I think everyone deserves to know, who their parents are, because you could be stopping a relationship that could be beautiful for your son. But I'm also not a parent and I'm not in this position. So take what I say with a grain of salt. Everyone else, chime in. Maybe you can offer something a little more better. Maybe you can offer some better advice. Let me know your thoughts and feelings, you guys. Stay classy out there. Stay sassy. I'll see you tomorrow.